And we're back. Hello, everyone. This is KaliMax with Hack Smarter, sporting the new Hack Smarter t-shirt. Get them while they're hot. And getting ready for DEF CON here coming up just in a few more weeks. So welcome back. Today I wanted to visit a room from TryHackMe called Paired Post Phishing Analysis. And it really drew me in because, well, let's face it, we're all dealing with this on the daily, right? We're being spammed relentlessly by all this phishing, smishing, all sorts of just nefarious activity. And we need to evolve with it because with the advent of AI, this is just going to keep getting better and better, right? Gone more and more, so gone are the spelling errors and the bad obvious stuff, and it's going to get more and more sophisticated. So I think as humans, the best we can do is to sort of immerse ourselves in it, evolve with it so that we can be ready. And because it is a bit of cat and mouse, right? As they up their game, we up our game, and it becomes a game of pattern recognition so that we don't get caught out. With that being said, let's dive in. Now, you can do this either through their attack box here, which spins up really nicely, or the way we're going to do it is with our own. And the other thing I loved about this room is it doesn't require any special environments like Linux, Kali Linux, any of that stuff. Although if you're doing this for real, highly recommended to detonate stuff that's isolated from your own host environment so you can do that safely, because it's a lot easier starting over a virtual environment with a snapshot or just starting over completely than, heaven forbid, you're exposing your personal data, right? So with that being said, let's dive in. So our learning objectives, we're going to understand what email headers are and familiarize ourselves with common headers. We're going to utilize tools for inspecting and analyzing suspicious emails and attachments. And again, these tools that I'm going to show you, you don't need to know Linux. They're all in-browser tools. So anyone with a browser, which is great. I think that's pretty exciting because they're actually very powerful and very easy to use. And then we're going to learn to recognize different obfuscation techniques employed in malicious HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code. Okay. So phishing email analysis. So the first task is to download a task file. But let's set the scenario. While working as a SOC analyst for Flying Sec, you receive an incoming report from Senior Executive Paul Feathers. Paul recently received an email from Paired Post, a legitimate company email tool, asking him to log into his account to resolve an issue with his account information. So there you go. You see the communication here. And our task is to investigate the email and determine if it's legit or a phish. So the email file can be accessed here. We've already downloaded it, so I wanted to show you what that looks like. So we can double click on it. And I've got mine settings on dark, but as you can see, this is what we're dealing with. And let's go over sort of how it's presented, because this is, a lot of these headers can be spoofed pretty easily. Whether you're on a smartphone, which is, let's face it, most of us live on those things, you can right click these safely and see what's behind them, what's actually there in the headers. So as you see, instead of it being paired post webmail, we have no reply at postparrot.thm. That's as expected. And then, of course, we have the urgent call to action, which is pretty standard on any phish. Paul Feathers this is the actual email address, which again is as expected. And this is where I really pay attention to the reply to, because this is what the sender is asking us to reply to. This is where it's going to be sent. So now, how does it match? Well, we see we're presented with paired post webmail, but look what we actually are seen. No reply at post parrot with a 0.thm. Now that should be standing out like a red flag. And this is a very common technique, the substitution, character substitution. And they just try to fool you. Sometimes an R versus an N or a 0 versus an O. And it's just designed to catch you off guard. You're not paying attention. You're in a hurry. You're distracted, whatever. And it looks legit at first glance, right? So that's our first red flag here. And now you can see how this information is not always what it seems. Now, this is what, of course, they want us to click through on. Okay, so when we do that, what happens? Now we're presented with a login screen. Okay, so we all have our F12 button. That's our first common tool in our browser. So we can start to look at the network and see what the GET requests actually look like. So if we do what they want, which is to enter a password, and keep in mind, this already looks pretty benign and to someone that was in a hurry unsuspecting, because it auto-populates, as we probably expect if we're a client. They would already have our email on record. And plus, how convenient. They're saving us some typing. So all we got to do is type our password, right? So if we do that, if we log in, what do we get? Well, we're presented with, sorry, there was an error processing your request. Please try again later, which is probably a distraction method. Like, hey, nothing to see here. Move along. You can't log on, but it's just an error. It's a bug, and it's already too late, right? Because you've entered your stuff, but they're just trying to buy some time by distracting you with this message. But now, if we look a little bit further, let's look at some more red flags, right? We have a GET request to a domain called evilparrot.thm. That should be an absolute red flag that this is not going where we expect it to. And then credcapture.php, okay, pretty obvious. Cred capture, that would certainly should get the alarm bells ringing. And if you see what it's doing is it's sending two parameters, email and password, to this domain. Okay. So now if we click through here, nothing's happening. Now, does anyone know why? It's trying to go to this evilparrot.thm, but nothing's happening. Anyone know why? Well, it's because, evil THM is not on the public internet, so it does not resolve, right? So the way we sort that out is to add this to our Etsy host file, okay? Kind of a manual DNS, if you will, okay? So just doing it up here to be nice and neat. Let's capture the room's IP, add that, and actually we can do that up here, right? And now, if everything's working correctly, and the way we can verify that is just to ping it, right? And there we go. We got ping. So we should now be working. And now if we reload, okay, interesting. Evil Parrot. There we go. I don't know what was causing that, but now we do have something, right? that page is live. So looks like we have some kind of THM flag. We have a success message, and then credentials have been stolen and appended to your, and then it gives us this endpoint, which again, HTTP already highly suspect. I mean, there's so much shenanigans going on here. It's ridiculous, right? So what does that lead to? So if we go to that endpoint, it looks like an access.log type scenario, right? Just a quick and dirty. This is what they're doing. They're saving every login attempt to their server. So that's sort of the nuts and bolts of what we're seeing here. Now, just full disclaimer, if you had something suspicious, you would never want to do this on your normal host. You'd want to do this, in a virtual environment. But this is all benign. It's THM. And so I just wanted to show you without going through the extra layers. But yes, if you were playing in the wild, definitely go through the extra layers so that you can detonate safely. So back to the content. Now let's look at email headers. So email headers are a great place to start when manually investigating suspicious email. They have important metadata information such as the sender and recipient's email addresses, and of course the timestamping, the path a message took to reach its intended destination, all sorts of real information that can really confirm that this is a phish or it's legit. So they're talking about EML format. EML format is plain text, meaning it can be read and edited using a basic text editor. So anything, Notepad, TextEdit, Sublime, it easily is rendered in those. So we all have access to them. So I want to show you some tools that, again, our first online tool is called MX Toolbox. I want to show you, first of all, let's just look at what a header looks like. Okay, so I've already downloaded this. So it's in my downloaders folders as urgent parrot post account update. And so it's this, which, you can make this out, but it's not exactly user friendly, but we can make it easier to read by copy and pasting it into a tool like this, and then just hit the Analyze Header button. And it'll go ahead and parse and organize it nicely for us. So it doesn't take long at all, and it was literally just copy and paste, that easy. Okay, so now it sorts all the headers in a nice table. And you can see, I already see a custom header, which looks like another flag in the room. And this reminds me of what you see in a burp suite if you're familiar with that tool. And you got a lot more detailed information. Here's that actual, right? When we right-clicked earlier on the message, and now we see what's really happening behind the scenes to confirm the reply with the 0 post parrot. And interesting. So we have content transfer encoding, and it identifies what that text is, which is base 64. So if you don't recognize this, and the more you see it, the more you're just going to go, oh, yeah, that's base 64, but that's certainly a way to confirm it. The equal sign also confirms it, although base 32 can also look like that. And so we have another layer of the onion to unwrap here. Okay, so let's go back to the content and answer a few questions. So it's asking us about country of origin. Okay. And if Paul replies to this email, which email address will his reply be sent to? I think we can answer that now. And then the custom header flag. So let's go back, grab what we can here. And we have this fishy looking reply. right? That should answer one of the questions. Okay, and we can also answer the custom header because we saw that in the form of a flag, right? On the X custom header. Okay, so now how are we going to get the country of origin? Well, it directs us to this IP location tool, which is sort of like well, it'll geolocate a source IP if we have one. So do we have one? Did it find it? Well, I see it here. So we have this guy, which I think it's in another, yeah, it's even bigger right here. Okay, so, and if we did a who is, we'd also find it. There it is, SMTP remote, and you have the same IP. So let's plug that in and see if we can get a hit. So we do an IP lookup. And look at that. We get Latvia. Okay. City of Riga. And it's luckily the nice feature too is it gives you many points of reference so you can kind of confirm it with almost certainty that, yeah, we're getting multiple hits on the same location here. So coming all the way from Latvia. All right. So now if we go to email attachment analysis, and now it's talking about this HTM. Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit. As we discovered by looking at the .eml file and the text header, the email Paul received contains an embedded attachment, and it's named parrot post action required.htm. And some email filters or security systems may be configured to block or quarantine certain file types, such as HTML files. By using alternatives like HTM or SHTM file extensions instead of HTML, attackers may be able to bypass these filters and increase the chances of their email reaching the intended recipient. And it's just saying the HTML is the most common alternative to HTML. So this is just the way the bad actors bypass some of the machines, and then it falls on us humans to be, smarter. And it just goes on to say that not all HTML attachments are evil. Like Cisco secure email encryption services use this as well. Interactive forms, like you might do an online job app or a DMV type scenario. So they're not all bad, but it's just something to be aware of because HTML is also used to bypass machine filters. Okay, and we go into content transfer encoding in the attachment metadata section of the email file, which is called content transfer encoding, is a header that indicates how the attachment's content is coded. Base 64, which we went over, encodes binary data, such as images, audio files, and other content into ASCII characters. Okay. And so it sort of gives us a hint of what that looks like and some of the functions. So let's look at that and do some manual decoding here. Okay, so we can grab this. This is the base 64 encoded message. We can literally just copy it. And you guys have probably come across this tool. If I can spell it, CyberChef. This is another accessible to everybody. And it's just literally copy and paste this stuff. And it has a kind of a smart sensor up front. And if you just hit that button, it already knows what function and how to do the next step. So As you can see, the recipe that pulls up automatically is from base 64, which we've already confirmed. And now you see what we were presented earlier. It's a little bit of HTML script. And you've got this variable being set up called B64, which is another base 64 encoded message, right? And so what is it doing? It's setting up that variable with that big blob, and it's sending it to this function or multiple functions. So I like to go from right to left to unwrap this a bit. So A to B is the first function, and that is JavaScript for decode whatever's in here. In this case, this blob. Decode this from base 64 to ASCII. And then it runs it through another function called unescape, which handles any potential parsing issues due to special characters that might be embedded. And then the document write is the final command here, which is just a way to write all of this onto a web page. Okay, so it can be rendered into that login page that we saw earlier. So that's what's going on there. Now we can take this message, okay, and we're just kind of peeling the onion here, right? And decode it again. So you can duplicate the tab. Oh, not pin, but duplicate. And you can see we have, but wait, there's more. So now we're seeing what was embedded there. This is basically the login page rendered for us. Okay, so let's go back and explore the content. Yep, we saw this. This is that variable B64, the A to B function. And what are the questions it's asking us? What encoding scheme is used to obfuscate the web page? Well, I think we confirmed that was base 64. And what is the built-in JavaScript function used to decode the web page? And of course, we saw the three functions, but the one that's actually doing the decoding is A to B. And after the initial base 64 decoding, what is the value left over of the base 64 encoded comment? Now, I don't think we uncovered that yet, did we? I think we're going to have to go back there for a second, because I did close it accidentally. So if I grab this again, decode it, and where is that little bit of chunk? Does anybody see it? Hey there, Evergrown Carrot. How you doing, man? I hope the studyings are going good. But tis gaming golfer. I'm not sure what that is. I think I'm missing out on the humor there, but I'm glad someone's having a great time. And welcome, by the way. Thanks for joining me. I'm actually looking for a comment in all this gobbledygook that's like a base 64 comment. And I'm not finding it at the moment. So if anyone does happen to come across it, let me know. I'm going to move along for now and go to the next really cool tool that's accessible in the browser for everyone. So we have this HTML entity encoding, okay, which is this funky, it almost looks like ASCII encoding, right? But it's called entity. And of course, it's not designed to be human readable. It's just supposed to be fast for machines, fast and compact. And so you'll see it's nested between the H1 headers, and it looks like this. And then it translates into ASCII with the from HTML entity recipe thrown against it. Oh, and that's where it's revealed. Okay, so that's where this hidden message is. We're just a little out of sequence. So the way this translates, because they do it so nicely here in beautiful text, we've got parrot post secure webmail login with this little base64 remnant. And so what's the text inside of the H1 tag? Well, there's a bunch of text, but I think there's only one that fits here, right? Which is parrot post secure webmail login. Okay. And we should probably go back and do that because we need to sort out what that little remnant of base 64 is. And I just want to see how you guys are doing. Oh, there. Thanks there, Gaming Golfer. Yeah. So moving on, we've got. Yeah, where is this? Why am I not seeing this? Am I just a little out of sequence and I'm not seeing it? I know I translated this base 64 and too many windows. I'm used to the command line and not all these GUIs, so it's easy to get a little discombobulated here. Is it in this when we translated this variable here? Let's see, did I already do that? No. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna take all of this base 64. So this is like onion layer 2. And hit the duplicate so we can open up already ready to go, almost. Hit the trash can and paste. And yes, I think this is what we're looking for. Now, the thing is, like, it's too small of a box for me personally. So what I would do, just to make this easier on my eyes, is dump this in Sublime. So whatever works for you. But that's just a little bit easier for me to read, although it is a rainbow of colors, isn't it? But now if we get to what they're talking about on the screen, oh, and here it is. Here's that little strip of base 64, right? In between the comments, or I should say commented out. What you can see on HTML is a exclamation point with a double dash surrounded or ended by another double dash. So if we take this, and if you'll excuse me while I hit the command line real quick, because let's just spread around some of the techniques here. This is a pretty easy way to do it if you have a command line available, and you just echo it to standard output, and then send it to the base 64 function with the flag, the D flag, which is decode, and then boom, it decodes it. So you could obviously, if you were just strictly browser, you could just open up another cyber chef and rinse and repeat. So what is that? That's like a triple base 64 encoding, right? We've already gone base 64, base 64, and base 64. So pretty interesting. So yeah, we could probably answer that question now. Yes. Okay, this should be it. Double encoded. And I would say triple encoded, right? That wasn't double, that was triple encoded. Okay. CSS obfuscation. Okay, so CSS, if you don't know what that is, it's sort of how all these web pages look so pretty, right? This is where all the style happens and all the formatting and where all the boxes line up and the pretty colors. So the tags are style, okay? And so it goes into minified versus unminified. Of course, unminified is for human readable. Generally, when we're all done, when a developer's done and he's satisfied, they minify it. And they do that to shrink everything up. And since only machines are going to be handling it now, readability is out the window, and it's all about speed. And so it's, you know, we all want to make things super fast. Nobody likes to wait on web pages loading. So that's what they do, is they minify it. But also bad actors do it because, for a couple reasons. It makes it so that end users can't see what they're doing, right? And it just obfuscates and hides what they're doing, so you can't easily figure it out. So CyberChef has a built-in function to basically expand it back into human readable, and it's called CSS Beautify. And what are they asking us here? What is the reverse of CSS minify? Well, I think we just discussed that. It's the beautify is the opposite, right? One makes it fast for the machines, and one makes it easy for the humans. And now we have JavaScript obfuscation. And just that fancy term refers to making it, hiding our tracks, right? Making it difficult to reverse engineer. Like if we're playing defense, and certainly for the end user, we're going to see gobbledygook on the screen. We're just going to ignore it because we don't understand it. And if we're playing defense, even though we have the technical skills, it's going to take us time to unravel it. And the whole point of this game is to buy time. You know, in the wild, as a bad actor, you want your latest and greatest. It gets through Defender. It's fooling people. You want to buy as much time for that to happen before the red alert goes everywhere and it's part of everyone's database, and everyone can see you coming. You want to extend that lead time as long as you can to fool as many people as you can, to do as much damage as you can. So that's really the main point, and why bad actors will do this. You know, they'll basically scramble their code to buy themselves time to do as much damage as they can. Now, this is one of my favorite online tools. It's called Beautifier.io. And again, it's wait till you see it and you sort of got a screenshot of what it does. But this is, again, how easy this stuff is to use. So if I can go back to, yeah, here we go. We're looking for JavaScript, which is probably right at the end here. So in between the script tags, okay, so I've got script here, and where's the first script? Sorry, where I sort through this rainbow. Here it is. Okay, so from here to here is all JavaScript. So I just grab this, and then I go to this JS Beautify, just paste it in here, hit this big green button, and look at that. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that, right? Like, I just love this because everyone can use this stuff. We don't need to like read a bunch of docs or go through a training lab. Like, it's just copy and paste. So what's cool about this particular bad actor is he was so nice to have verbose commenting. So we can literally walk through this code without even knowing a lick of JavaScript. So prevent the form from submitting normally. Then we're getting the username and password input values and setting them to variables. Then we're creating a new request object for our evil server, encoding the email and password parameters using this function, all right? Encode URI components, and then adding the encoded email and password as query parameters in the GET request. Then we're sending the GET request to the evil server. And if you remember these two error messages that we were distracted, or that was the attempt to distract us, like nothing to see here, please move along, please try again later. And it happens regardless. That's the way the logic is. And you're going to see that pop up. And it's just a way to buy time and distract you, so you're not alerted to something bad happening in the background. And then this final comment is redirecting to the real post-parrot website after sending, so the victim doesn't get suspicious. And look, they're using this property in JavaScript called window.location.href. And think of this function or property as just a way to, it's kind of like a directory, like ls, like where am I? What web page am I on? That's what this original intent of this property was for, but you can also use it to point or reassign. And the way they're abusing this is to point it to somewhere else. You could point this to Google if you wanted to, and he's just basically pointing it to the real post parrot. And this happens so quickly, right? This is happening in a couple nanoseconds that you can't even tell. You're just, as the end user, you just perceive a login page, you see the error message, it's already happened in the background. So that's sort of the nuts and bolts of what's happening there. And I'm sure we have some questions to answer. What is the URL that receives the login request when the login form is submitted? Okay, that should be in here. So if we look at this variable URL, and if we grab all the way to the PHP, okay, because the rest are just parameters along for the ride, that should be that particular endpoint. Okay, and just checking on you guys. How you guys hanging in here? Is this stuff making sense, I hope? Isn't this pretty cool? I mean, I'll tell you what drew me to this room and why I wanted to share it is because I've been studying for 2 years. A lot of this stuff is brand new to me. Certainly the tools and how easy it is. I like, we're all in the same boat. We're all dealing with this stuff on the daily. And man, you don't need to have a lot of sophistication here to easily sort this out for yourself, right? So that's what I wanted to share. And I figured if I didn't know some of this stuff, then probably someone just starting doesn't know it either. And hey there, kitty cat, how you doing? And you're asking about publishing the video. Yes, this will go from a stream to a YouTube. Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. Hey there. Veer Hacken. Is that German maybe? Veer? I don't know. Just guessing there. But welcome. So, okay, back to the content. What's the next question? What is the JavaScript property that can redirect the browser to a new URL? And I think the bad actor was nice enough to give us that answer right here, right? This is that window location.ref function. Okay, did I grab that? I'm not sure if my copy paste worked there. Okay, putting it all together. Okay, and we sort of jumped the shark here a little bit and did this. And the reason I did it that way, honestly, is because that's intuitively how I would have approached this. So a little bit out of order from what the room builder is stepping us through, but I just wanted to show you my methodology, the way I would do it. And of course, full disclaimer, I would be doing this inside like a Kali Linux box for real, because you just don't want to play with bad stuff. There's some really sophisticated stuff that literally if you hover on something, it's already running JavaScript and doing God knows what, but it, not stuff you want happening on your computer with your sensitive data at stake. So definitely, if you're going to do this for real outside of a lab, and I encourage you to do, I do it all the time. I'll even go through the steps to report it. when it looks really legit, and I just feel like, hey, I'm going to do my part today and report this and make the internet just a little bit safer. And it's also good practice. I do that for that thing too because it keeps me sharp. But definitely do it in a safe environment where you don't have stuff at stake and you can safely detonate it. Because let's face it, most of this malware is designed to do its bad stuff inside a Windows environment or an Android device. And more and more Apple and iPhone is also at risk, but not really Linux, and certainly not a virtual environment. And if it does, who cares? Because you can start over, you can go back and revert. And the real big thing is where are they going to go? You have an isolated Kali machine. They're not going anywhere, and they're not stealing anything, right? Because you don't have any sensitive data, I hope, in your Kali instance. So anyway, it's talking about detonating the form, okay, which we kind of gone over. Do that in a safe environment, and it's showing us what that login form looked like, and it's given us this term whaling attack, which is, let's just go over what that is. And so the way it's auto-populating, right, which kind of gives us a sense of comfort. Hey, this was directed to us. This is a good guy because they know who I am, making my life easy. But they call that whaling attack because it's targeted for, a high-level player at a company, like a CEO or an admin, or in this case, senior executive. So just a term to be familiar with. And again, it's presenting us with the error message, which is just there to buy time and distract us, like there's nothing wrong here. And walking through, again, our F12, right? Built into our browser, we can all do this and look at what's going on behind the scenes. And so we have some questions here. What is the flag you received after sending fake credentials to the cred capture PHP endpoint? So if we go back to that, right? So we were here, and it's asking us, I believe, for this flag, right? And what is the path on the web server hosting the log of captured credentials? So again, if we refer back to what we learned here, this is the endpoint. And obviously, since we're referring to the same server overall here, and we have the hint here with the /, that is the endpoint, which then points to this kind of like a poor man's access.log on an Apache server, right? It's just his way of capturing all in one place every time someone logs in, associates the email parameter with the password. So he's going to have a field day because he's been capturing quite a bit here, right? And so let's see, that should take care of that guy. And the final one, based on the log, what is Chris Smith's password? So if we go back to this guy's collection, we see Chris Smith, and there's the password that he captured. Poor Chris. And how you guys doing? Ooh, I like it. Yes, we need some some more Germans out there doing their thing. Absolutely. Go for it. And so let's see the conclusion. So now you should better understand how to identify and analyze phishing attacks that attempt to steal user credentials. You've learned to use various tools to inspect and analyze suspicious emails and attachments and recognize and decode different obfuscation techniques used in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And isn't it awesome? Like, I think pretty much we stayed in the browser, right? Like I would, if I were you guys, I'd highly recommend going into this lab. I believe it's free. Don't need a subscription, and grabbing all those beautiful tools and just having it as part of your like short list that you can practice and get good with. I do it all the time on my smartphone. You can right click on an email on the reply to, and it'll bring that little sub menu, and then you can copy that right into Virus Total. In fact, let me just show you that real quick. This is what I do almost daily on some of the really the really suspicious ones. So this is okay. I got a schmish this morning from the U.S. Postal Service, right? And so they're basically impersonating the U.S. Post Office, which is pretty evil. So, of course, they want you to go to this website here. Now, again, we're playing for real here. So I'm going into a safe environment when I want to show you this. But um, when you go here, okay, I just want to show you how sophisticated this some of the stuff is. Now, of course, the dead giveaway, if you look, you see an Amazon. I don't know what they were thinking, honestly, but thank God, right? Because it's Captain Obvious. You got an Amazon logo, and you've got, I don't know, is that Korean, Chinese? It's obviously looks really fishy. But imagine if this were on your smartphone, little 4-inch screen. Maybe this was designed for a mobile format, so this doesn't pop up. Maybe it's hidden, maybe it's just really hard to see. But this is what is on your screen. Pretty legit, right? Like, and because they literally have copied the actual US Postal Service's JavaScript form, and then here is the what they want you to do, right? They want you to, and look what pops up, JavaScript, which means this thing is locked and loaded. This thing's going to run a script, and it's probably not going to do you any favors. But now, this is what you can do safely on your host. Okay, so you've got this highly suspect. Where is it? You've got this highly suspicious thing. What I like to do, and again, this would all be on a touchscreen on your smartphone. It can be done in literally seconds. But I would paste that URL. I think I still have it. There it is. Okay. And if that doesn't look suspicious, the M in front of the UPS, but it's kind of clever. But maybe you're in a hurry or distracted, and that's what they're counting on. But look at how easy this is. You run to virus total without having to click on anything or run any JavaScript. And look at this. Look what pops up. This is all you need, right? You know it's bad. It pops up everywhere. Now, if you want to go further down this rabbit hole, you can go right to the IP, which is what we just did, right? Like, this happens for real. This is very relevant. And now, again, you get a criminal IP malicious hit. Now, details. The reason I like to go to details, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but the who is. Now, why do I want who is because I want to report this. And so I can report this right here, this easy. And now, before you guys are like, I don't know, who's got time for that? Let me just show you something real quick. This is how easy and quickly you can report something. Okay. I've got so many windows open. It's making my head spin right now. But copy paste that. Okay. I might put a short subject here. Phishing attempt found. Okay. Short and sweet here. Now I'm just grabbing a couple links. Okay. Where's my email? I might go through the trouble of a screenshot, mainly just because, picture's worth 1,000 words here. Okay, especially this one. This is just like kills two birds with one stone because it's showing how they're using that IP address. Right? They assigned it to this URL. And again, and then you might put a short description of what's happening, or they're impersonating U.S. Postal Service, sincerely so-and-so, hit the send button, and you're done. And what are we invested in? Maybe 60 seconds to 2 minutes tops to check that box and just do your part. So anyway, I just wanted to show that to you. Not only is it good for the world, but it's good for you too, because every time you expose yourself a little bit to this, you are that much sharper and you're staying ahead. And I think we all need to evolve with bad actors, because they're going to use AI. The days of the obviously bad English and all these other telltale signs and the bad graphics and stuff, amateur hour, as I like to call it, those are in the rearview mirror, and they're going to use AI and other tools to make the stuff look almost where you're not going to be able to tell unless you do these other things. So, anyway, I just wanted to share this. I thought there's a lot of great information here that's accessible to everybody. And I think we should all be on the same page with all the latest and greatest easy accessible tools to help us stay safe. So, with that, I appreciate everyone stopping by. And can we take a look at some emails? They're hacking live. Can we take a look at the spam emails from Twitch? But you have to look at them on the second screen first, not that they're a naked page. Well, I'm not sure where you're visiting, where your channels are there, Very Hacking Live, but that's a good question. Like, how do you handle? Like, I'm actually a moderator for Hack Smarter, so I sort of I got the banhammer privilege. So we get our share of spammers in the channel, which they're pretty obvious because they're all selling crypto these days, right? That seems to be Discord and crypto seem to be the match made in heaven. But yeah, like so, what I would okay to sort of answer your question as a moderator or just hey, just someone that's trying to keep my Discord channel safe, could be anybody. You never want to obviously click through unless you're in a Kelly box, and so you're like you don't care what happens. But if you're on your host and you're in your Discord and you see something that looks fishy, the last thing you want to do is click on it. But you can certainly select it and then send it right to where I just did, right? Virus total, and let virus total tell you. And I would say virus total is probably it's one of my favorite tools because it's so quick and easy to use, and they're probably one of the most current. So they know what's going on in real time. Nothing's 100%, but they're going to catch the lion's share of it. And so yeah, that's how I would handle something like that. And of course, if everything preliminary checks out, but you still like see red flags and you're still suspicious, I mean, definitely send it to your admin team. It doesn't hurt, right? Just to be better safe than sorry. So yeah, gaming golfer, what do you got? And again, thanks for this was highly unexpected. I sort of did this off the cuff today with no announcement. So thanks for you guys for tuning in, and I hope you got some real benefit. So, okay, virus total, but the link goes to any any two dot page, so it's not detected as evil. Okay, you're talking about something you found in Discord, right? So basically, what you're striking out, your virus total is it's just not on its radar yet, and I it happens sometimes. I get stuff. Thank God it's in the minority, but because it's so new, it's not on the radar yet. But the fact that here's the way I look at it. Something about it made you not want to click it, right? Like you went through all the trouble. So, man, you're smarter than these machines. We all are, right? So, like, trust your gut. Something made you pause and go, "This is fishy." And okay, so the machines haven't picked it up. It's not in a database. That doesn't mean it's safe, right? So, as far as like what I would do next, like next steps, I would like you can go down the rabbit hole a little bit and look at source emails, and then this is where I feel more comfortable on the command line. But you might use who is or ns lookup because you want to start to get a history. Like how long has this thing been out? And if it just appeared like yesterday, that's highly suspect, right? So those are some quick, easy things. And of course, these commands you can also do in the browser. I think there's literally a who is. Yeah. So you can literally check out a domain right here in the browser if you're not comfortable with the command line. But yeah, that would be sort of my next steps. And of course, don't be afraid to get someone with a little more experience, second, third pair of eyes on this. Like I said, your admin, your mod, if you're talking Discord channel. So that would be sort of my methodology with that. So I hope that helps you a little bit. So guys, thank you so much. Tune in. We got 3 content creators now. We got Tyler Ramsey, we got Protagonist, and then myself, KaliMax. So we're all trying to do something almost every day, and certainly like my goal is at least once a week. So always trying to keep relevant content coming at you. So until next time, happy hacking.